You're listening to Silicon Heartland Sessions, the podcast that showcases authentic voices from the front lines of tech and leadership. In this episode, Srini Koushik, President AI and Sustainability at Rackspace Technology, offers his personal playbook for growth. Lean into discomfort, never stop learning, and don't wait to be invited to the table. Build your own. Whether you're just starting out or stepping into a leadership role, this episode is full of wisdom on how to stay hungry, humble, and ahead of the curve in your career. Shout out to our sponsors for fueling this platform. Rackspace Technology, unlocking the power of cloud and AI for businesses of all sizes. Varonis, protecting the data that powers your organization. Trace3, bringing strategy, design, and implementation together. Sigma Computing, turning data into decisions without needing code. Let's jump in. So as you think about how AI is going to undoubtedly and is already reshaping the workplace, how do you envision these changes sort of affecting day-to-day operations and employee interactions into the future, into an AI-enabled future?
So I think here's the thing. Organizations and leaders may not be ready, but AI today and the technology and I'm not just talking generative AI, but AI in general, the AI models and others that you can build on your own, whether it's classification algorithms or any of these things, it is good enough for them for AI to be embedded into your business process. It's good enough for it to be embedded, like in a very responsible way, right now. But it's good enough because here's what I say, and again, this is not meant negatively. AI is available 24/7, never sleeps, right? And it is going to kind of, even if you say it's the 2% of the time it's hallucinating, that's 98% accuracy.
This is true.
Most human beings can't deliver 98% accuracy, right? So let's just take a very
intros and outros
direct view of insight. Like that's where AI is today. So it needs to get embedded.
So what I'll do is I'll tell you.
So the question is, like, are you going to fight it, or are you going to figure out a way to kind of move up that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? In terms of not do the food, shelter, clothing, connection, that's.
I appreciate.
And I think that is where we've spent a lot of time training AI. Yeah, we got to spend a lot of time training humans to use AI, right? To use AI. And especially in enterprises, I love what you guys did at Grange. Like, that you were walking me through the workshops that you did. Like, that was just, that's phenomenal. I still tell people that, like, Sean did this because I think we should, like, this is something, what you're doing there is you're taking something that people think is tough, it's just making it more familiar so that they can, they get more comfortable in that space. And I think we need to do a lot more of that, right? Because, especially in the enterprise side. Because I don't worry about
hands-on coding at IBM.
Well, I do worry about it, but I don't worry about the consumer side of things because the TikToks of the world and others are embedding AI so that whether the users realize it or not, they are actually using AI. They're interacting with AI every single day. Yep. I wish they spent more time on AI and understanding the thing.
Rackspace Technology,
just quick
trusted multi-cloud.
Did you know that? Like I read tracking down the source. I read that day that a picture that you store on Instagram is the equivalent of keeping a light bulb running forever. So you take a picture of your food and store it on the cloud, right? Instagram, store it on the cloud, and others. The power consumption and others of that is the equivalent of running like a bomb forever, right? Like I'm tracking it down. I'll get you the source for it, but I just
and to your point, you're absolutely right. I mean, when you think about it, when you take a picture, there's power consumption in the picture and everything, but then once it gets in the cloud, it's replicated all over the place. Well, I mean, literally, when you put something in the cloud, like it's never going to go away, And you're right. It takes power and resources to store all of that information.
Right.
That's quite a startling.
So the only reason I bring that up is I think if you get people trained, you're going to find more people who are responsible about driving that stuff, right? Like, because it's. I'm not doing it as a generational thing or something. You just go sit there and it's like you see the restaurant, people taking pictures of the food that they're eating, and I sit there and go like, dude, you
this
can come
episode,
back
we're
tomorrow and
joined
see
by
the food
Srini
tomorrow.
Koushik.
Right? You know,
This is true.
but for you taking the picture
Rackspace
and
Technology,
putting it into this
who
piece,
takes us
and you
inside
realize that
leader
because
in
many
high-stakes
times these are
environments. You'll hear about the moment he said
well-intentioned,
no to a
good-hearted
CEO's
people,
request.
or the same guys
The leadership
protesting
lessons he learned
environmental
from Steve Jobs,
issues,
why he
right? Like
believes
we're
hiring
saying, like,
someone
you
who's never
warmed up the
failed
planet and others,
is a
and
red flag.
what do? They take
If you're in a
20
position
selfies
where
of the food
you're
like that
expected
they
to
have
lead
after that
through
protest
Yep.
story and put it up there.
This
like,
episode is a
but if you
masterclass.
understood your
Special thanks to our
personal
sponsors,
environmental
Rackspace
impact,
Technology,
then you'll take
enabling
different
cloud-native
decisions. And
innovation.
so with AI,
Well
it's the
said.
same thing. If you make it more
Varonis,
familiar,
delivering
if you make it
world-class
more
data
familiar,
security and threat
then
detection.
human
Trace
beings, like
3,
I trust in
empowering
their
digital
ingenuity and
transformation
like
through
their
next-gen
ability to adapt.
technology.
We
and
will
Sigma
find the
computing,
ways to kind of
redefining
coexist
data
with
exploration.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Let's dive in.
And actually do so in a way that is actually
All right.
very, very
Okay.
positive. Because who wants to get
Right.
up every day and apply patches to 200 servers?
Well, hey, I don't want to knock anybody who loves patching servers. I assume there's people out there that love doing that. But to your point, automating those kinds of processes that are prone to error and so forth, and that can, as we know from what happened last week with CrowdStrike, can cause global outages.
Yeah.
So when you think about that intersection between technology and the enterprise and companies and businesses, executive teams and boards of directors and so forth, what are a few key aspects of technology that you wish more business leaders and board members understood? Coach Srini Koushik, President,
I think there's going to be a
Sustainability
generational
at
shift in
Rackspace
leadership.
Technology.
Right?
Challenges us to think
the last
carefully about the tools we
30,
build.
40, 50
You'll
years
hear
we've come
Srini's
in,
candid
most
take
of the
on
leaders, if you
environmental
think
costs of
CEOs, if you
generative
think
AI,
the
the
leaders
moral
of business
hazards of
units who are
innovation,
running these
and
pieces.
why we need to ask.
I say it in the most positive way possible. They're all maybe technology adjacent. There are a lot more. There are a lot more adept.
Special thanks to our sponsors.
They understand things like financials and numbers and things like that. Because again, it's not theirs. It's kind of the management system that existed all of these years, right? Because you advanced through the leadership careers, like because you were very good at
Sigma computing,
understanding the numbers, understanding how that translates into a team of how you can motivate a team of people to do more stuff. It's general management was what was very, very important for many years.
Right.
I think it's going to start becoming less important as AI embeds itself in this thing. What it's going to be more of is, can I be a good general manager and understand technology enough that now I can manage? And I tell people you got to get ready. If you're a leader, get ready to manage a team. If you have 10 people of 3 AI co-workers and 7
Silicon Heartland Sessions,
human beings. Right? Mm-hmm. Interpersonal interactions, right? What roles, so why is he doing my job, right? Or everything that you deal with on a regular basis, just throw AI into the middle of it and it gets into that. And if I'm a leader who only has the traditional general management skills but doesn't understand the technology, I don't think many of those guys are going to make it to the top of the rack. So yes, there's an interim thing where you have to kind of work with boards and
shout out to our sponsors for
leaders that are
Rackspace Technology.
I don't want to knock them. I think they have many of them have taken the time to understand the tech, but there are many others who haven't. Right, we're still managing to the old ways of things. I think people have to start evolving to understand technology more. I don't want them we don't want them coding or doing prompt engineering or any of that stuff. But
being truly literate from a technology perspective, especially in the world of tomorrow where AI, I can't even imagine how AI is going to shape the tools and the languages, like the programming languages and so forth that we use. I would imagine 5-10 years from now, we may look back on today or, and over the past few decades and think, wow, that was a primitive way of going about doing IT. We no longer have to worry about all of the, memorizing programming languages and all of these syntactic, rules and so forth for how you go about building systems. It's about leveraging AI to build systems that can maybe, who knows, maybe they just speak machine language. We don't need
Yeah.
to worry about
Yeah.
high level languages anymore because AI takes over. To your point, I really like how you started your conversation, and you were talking about how, there's a new generation of leaders that are coming, and we're going to have to, and we need to pave the way for these new leaders. And to your point, these leaders are going to have to be technically literate from a technology perspective.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Just quickly, you can edit it out later if you want to. Another book that reminded me of it, there was a book that came out by early 80s called Innumeracy, right?
Okay,
And the basic premise of the book was, when you walk around and talk to people, they don't say like, I can't read, right? Like they're ashamed to say I can't read, but however, like you run into people who are always like, I'm not good at math.
Right.
So it's like, so the whole premise of the book was, why is it acceptable? Why is it not acceptable to be illiterate, but acceptable to be the innumeracy, right? Like that's what the book is.
Wow.
I just made the connection because it's the same thing that's going to be with AI, right? Like, you can't say that something on the outside is something that is going to be critical to everything that you do. And it's things that people are going to have to take the time to understand how to work with AI.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe I know you're an avid traveler, Srini, and I'm just curious, do you have any travel experiences that have profoundly affected you? And, kind of going back to your theme song, what a wonderful world. I have to imagine you've had some pretty amazing experiences.
Yeah. 68 countries and counting, right? And then
Wow.
We as a family love traveling, because I think a big part of it is just experiencing the culture, right? Like it's just there's nothing like being immersed in the culture to be able to go do that piece. Being able to, this is not just going from here to a 5-star restaurant, a hotel somewhere, and just staying in the spa and driving. That it's kind of like getting out there with the people, eating where they eat, and just understanding what life looks like in those things, or history in those areas and others. And I've enjoyed that because you can see that common theme of curiosity and empathy and other things come through, because I think the types of solutions that you kind of see getting implemented very different than what you had. Like, so there's so many different places that we've enjoyed going to, but we were in Slovenia last last May. We were in the Baltic countries and like went to visit Slovenia, right? And we were in their capital, and it's just absolutely Ljubljana, right? Like, and it's a very, very pretty country. Like the environmental thing is great, but like I have a picture somewhere, but you walk and there's like every street's got like trash cans of like 10 different colors. Like, wait a second, I've seen green and brown. Like, what's all of this color? And you can actually go see how they actually separate it and how their trash system works. Is like it sorts it at that point in time, so there's nobody coming in and emptying the trash. It sorts it at that time, and it gets distributed. And I'm looking at it saying it's a small country. It is. They're doing their part to become carbon neutral, but the types of solutions that they've implemented, and you think about our stuff, and it's like we don't recycle we recycle where we live, but like you go 2 neighborhoods down, they don't, because there's nobody picking up the recycling, right? So how do you expect people to change their behavior when you don't do it? So you tend to kind of, in addition to enjoying nature, you tend to kind of look at these types of solutions and go, this is actually pretty cool, right? Or like my favorite, the last November we were in Bhutan, right? And so Bhutan's king has basically said, like, we're not going to measure like the progress of the country based on GNP, gross national product. It's going to be based on gross national happiness.
Really?
Right?
Wow.
Okay. And it's just amazing to see the types of things. Again, they're not there yet, right? Like, there's countries like Sweden and others that rank higher on the happiness index,
Sure.
But these guys have made the pivot to say, this is what we're going to show. This is what we're going to talk.
Hey, to your point, it starts with the why, creating the context, sharing the vision, and then making the decisions along the way and seeing it through. I hear you. That's amazing.
You can talk about it. You can go and experience it. And like, we've been blessed enough that through our travels, we can go and experience that. That's
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Nothing like, opening your eyes, then seeing, I'm privileged enough that, after I graduated high school, I served in the U.S. Navy for 6 years, and I got to travel. I wouldn't say I traveled the world, but I saw lots and lots of different places in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, the Atlantic, South America. And you're absolutely right. I mean, when you're sitting down, you're eating a meal, surrounded by folks from a small town in a different country that you don't speak their language, but you can see, their culture and the food and it really is eye-opening. It really is amazing. And
the thing is, like, you get to see these countries on news things and news and others. And nothing to knock the news outlets or any of that stuff, but like, look, it's a particular lens that they're showing you the country through. When you're there experiencing it, you see completely different. You may see that part that they've shown you, but you see multiple things, right? And so now your perspective is a lot more wider, and like, back to that DEI thing, it's diverse and it's inclusive, because you've kind of gone beyond your standard information bubble to go learn more.
Right. That's wonderful. Well, hey man, we probably should wrap it up. We've been going for quite a while here. I could just go all day long, man. I'm not kidding. When you think about our community and the folks that are listening, there's lots of folks out there that would aspire to following in your footsteps. What advice would you offer to those folks? Anybody that's eager to follow in your footsteps, like when you think about the concepts we've talked about with Simon Sinek and others, and how great leaders inspire action. What kind of influence and guidance would you offer to the next generation?
It's great things, and you can, as you know, I think in threes. I think the first thing I'd say is there's a quote that's attributed to Mahatma Gandhi, but it's actually from one of the older scriptures. But it says, like, live like you're going to die tomorrow, learn like you're going to live forever. Right? I think the first advice I'd give people is never stop learning.
That's it for this episode of Silicon Heartland Sessions. Stay tuned for more stories from the edge of innovation. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Huge thanks once again to our sponsors, Rackspace Technology, Varonis, Trace3, and Sigma Computing. We couldn't do this without your support.